The Lions lose their center. The Patriots seem cool with Stefon Diggs' off the field activities. TJ Watt is expected to get paid, and Gabe Davis is looking to get paid by Pittsburgh too. NFL Spotlight starts now. Welcome into NFL Spotlight. I am your producer and host today, Ben Allen. Our namesake host, Ari Meirov, is off today, but never fear. He's going to be back tomorrow. He's doing his thing out there in New York. He'll be coming back, adding analysis to the stories happening around the NFL world, all the information you need right when you need it. But today, you're stuck with me, everyone's favorite sidekick. But before we get into the news that is going on, I just want to take a second and thank you all for watching and for subscribing to us on the YouTube channel. If you are watching right now and haven't yet, take a second, hit that button. Helps us out a lot. 99% of the time, you aren't seeing my face, so that's got to be a win for all involved. But for now, let's go ahead and break down some of the news going on from around the league, starting with a surprising retirement from the star center of the NFC's top team from last year's playoffs. That's right. Center Frank Ragnow of the Detroit Lions has announced his retirement on Monday after only 7 seasons. The 4-time Pro Bowler said in an Instagram post that these past couple months have been very trying as I've come to the realization that my football journey is ending and I'm officially retiring from the NFL. I've had to convince myself that I'm feeling good, but I'm not. And it's time to prioritize my health and my family's future. I have given this team everything I have, and I thought I had more to give, but the reality is I simply don't. I have to listen to my body, and this is one of the hardest decisions of my life. The Lions organization has been the absolutely incredible throughout this process, and I can't emphasize this enough how grateful I am for this team and for all the fans. It was an absolute honor going to battle for you all. The 29-year-old will leave a massive hole for the Lions up the middle on their offensive line. Ragnow's PFF graded highest center in 2023 and second in 2024 among centers that played at least 8 games. He has allowed a total of 4 sacks over the last 5 seasons and 26 QB hits his entire career. So what are the injuries, you may ask, that have hampered Ragnow? Well, despite his overall resilience to be on the field, the dude did get quite a bit banged up over the course of his NFL career. Last season, he only missed 1 game, but that injury was actually a partially torn pec muscle, an injury that often sidelines dudes for much longer. Ragnow's injury history, though, goes much beyond that pec injury, and a lot of it has to do with the toe injuries that he faced. And he ultimately was able to battle through them, but he did miss 13 games in 2021 with that. Mind you, this was the only time his entire NFL career that he actually played fewer than 14 games in a season. But more than just the toe injuries, he also had a fractured throat in 2020. So the injuries definitely mounted up over time, definitely probably feeling worn down. So the next part of this, what does this mean for the Lions? Well, it means they could be getting a lot of pressure on one of their rookies that they took just this past year in the NFL draft. Rookie offensive lineman Tate Ratledge. The Georgia product was the 57th pick in April's draft, and in his 4 years at Georgia, Ratledge played 1,667 of a possible 1,670 snaps at right guard. The other 3 were at left guard, notably 0 snaps at center. Since the start of camp, though, the Lions have reportedly been putting Ratledge out there to try to get some work snapping the ball. With this in mind, I have a feeling they had a little bit of an idea as to what was going on with their star center. If the Lions don't feel like Ratledge is the man to be playing under center by week 1, the second option would likely be swinging left guard Graham Glasgow over one spot and have him play center like he did last season in the game that Ragnow missed with a pec injury. Glasgow also did the same thing in 2022 when Ragnow missed time. The early indications seem to be they would prefer, though, to keep him right where he is at, as, 33-year-olds tend to not like a whole lot of change. Next up, though, we got to move out to New England and touch on the Stefon Diggs situation. Diggs is reportedly not going to be in danger of being cut. This is according to Ian Rappaport of NFL Media. This is all due to partying that took place on a yacht with his girlfriend and rapper Cardi B, when one video, which is now among many, showed Diggs with a baggie of pink substance that many are assuming is an illegal drug. Ari explained on Monday's episode that while it is totally doable for the Patriots to actually find a way to get out of his contract by failing him with the medicals, all this stuff coming out of the ACL injury that he suffered last year with the Texans, it would be much more difficult to prove that he was involving himself in illicit activities, which would then break one of the clauses in his contract for morality. Video and speculation only go so far when it comes to all this, so we'll have to see if anything comes out of that. But right now, like Ian's saying, he is in the New England Patriots facilities. he's going to be their guy. They doled out 3 years, $69 million contract to him. So he could be the number one receiver that Drake May has so desperately needed. And like we've touched on before in prior episodes, that 3 year, $69 million, it looks good on paper. Not really a 3-year deal. They could very well get out of that contract after only 1 year. And like I just previously mentioned a second ago, he's out there. He's showed up to voluntary workouts and everything seems to be smiles now. So whether this is going to be an issue that drags out a little bit longer remains to be seen. But Stefon Diggs, he's out there on the field trying to get back from that ACL tear that ended his Texans tenure after just at 8 games. Next up, another story we touched on the other day with Ari, and it has to do with the contract extension talks surrounding TJ Watt and the Pittsburgh Steelers, trying to get a long-term deal done to keep him there in Pittsburgh for maybe even the rest of his career. Watt didn't show up to voluntaries, but never fear, says the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, as the expectation is for TJ to have a new deal in place before the season kicks off. Watt, as it stands, is entering the final season of his 5-year, $112 million contract, and his APY over the life of the deal has been $28 million per season, which now is 7th among all edge rushers in the NFL. That puts him behind guys like Josh Hines-Allen, Brian Burns, and, there's a few other guys above him, say Myles Garrett, who's now making $40 million per season, which is got to be what TJ is likely targeting. While the Steelers have made offers to their veteran edge rusher, there is no indication that right now that those offers have quite gotten to that Myles Garrett level. This is a guy that was the highest paid edge in the league previously. I'm guessing that's where he's trying to go again. So on top of Watt's desire for a new contract that is going to be looking like that $40 million, you also have Trey Hendrickson, Micah Parsons, Aiden Hutchinson. They're all looking for paydays, with the latter two also being in the conversation to roughly match or exceed Garrett's $40 million a number season. So who's going to go first? Which of those numbers is going to hit 40 million? Which of those guys are going to be surpassing that? We'll have to wait and see. But 40 million per season, is that really going to be worth it for TJ Watt? It kind of depends on which numbers you look at and which you give them the most credence to. So if you look back at last season, 11 and a half sacks, not quite up to par as to what we've seen with him. It's actually, in fact, the fewest that we have seen since his rookie season. If you take out the one season that he didn't make it to 11 games in 2023, it was a totally different story when he brought down the quarterback 19 times en route to runner-up to finish Defensive Player of the Year. And just 2 years ago, after tying Michael Strahan's record for 22 and a half sacks, he got the big award that all defenders strive for, not named the MVP, Defensive Player of the Year. But when you're looking at all the numbers from last year, the most notable drop in his production was the overall pressures, which kept him from making the top 30 overall with just 53, a far cry from his number of 86 in the season prior. The flip side to that were his PFF numbers, way, way higher than you would actually think. It's actually, wait for it, 92.2. That's his career high. It's never been higher than that. And this was the second among all the defenders in the NFL. The guy that was ahead of him, Myles Garrett. So is $40 million going to be a fair price per year for TJ Watt? Likely is going to be. Watt's just 30 years old, and while the numbers last season weren't the Defensive Player of the Year numbers that we saw in previous seasons, it appears that there's still going to be a lot of juice left in the tank. And as Ari has mentioned previously, he doesn't see a world in which Pittsburgh says, you know what, we're going to pull the plug, we're going to trade away one of our best franchise players. All 8 seasons have been with the Steelers. He's been a Pro Bowler all but that rookie season. And most importantly, team president Art Rooney II has already stated that he wants him to be with the team for the foreseeable future. So we're going to have to see what happens. Sticking with the Steelers, Pittsburgh is set to meet with free agent wideout Gabe Davis as they set their sights on getting a number 2 receiver to pair with the recently acquired DK Metcalf. Of course, Gabe Davis was just cut by the Jacksonville Jaguars very recently after only playing 1 year there. So while he was a complimentary guy there in Jacksonville to start with, they didn't think he was going to be part of their future. Now the Pittsburgh Steelers are hoping, hey, maybe this is a guy that's going to be able to come in here and be that number 2 option next to DK Metcalf, who they acquired from the Seattle Seahawks. And of course, this was said by a couple of people, Ari in particular, but they didn't see that George Pickens, their guy that they've had there for years, is going to be that number 2 receiver for DK Metcalf. Of course, now he has been traded to the Dallas Cowboys for a pick. That headache is now out of the room. But of course, they set themselves up for this issue of, hey, who is going to be the number 2 guy? And Davis, he's not a victim, more than any of the rest of the other guys, but he was cut 3 years, $39 million contract that he had just signed the season before with the Jacksonville Jaguars. It became pretty clear that there was going to be a change there in Jacksonville as Liam Cohen, the new head coach of the team, he went through a lot of the guys that he sees as weapons on the team, quite notably, one of the names that was missing was, in fact, Gabe Davis. They do have quite a bit of talent now on the roster with Travis Etienne, who they've already said, we're going to poo-poo the idea that we're moving on from him. We've got Brian Thomas Jr. We've got the new two-way star in Travis Hunter, who's likely going to be seeing some time at receiver. And we got Trevor Lawrence under center, who we've obviously paid a lot of money to. But prior to the Jaguars debacle, Davis was coming off 4 seasons of solid production with the Bills as a complimentary receiver who brought in 6+ receiving touchdowns every single season he was there, brought in 500+ yards every year. Davis has also met with the Giants, like I've already said. They need some wide receiver help, but probably not as much as the Steelers need, who are set to roll out Calvin Austin along with the aging Robert Woods to be able to pair with Metcalf. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me here today with NFL Spotlight. Thank you guys for listening along with No Ari. A little bit more reading today than I'm used to doing, but I think we all got through it together. If you guys are looking for more NFL Spotlight content, make sure you're subscribed here on the YouTube channel as well as Apple and Spotify. Our YouTube channel is still getting up and running. We're loving everybody who is coming in and subscribing. We have all of the old interviews on there as well. We've had 2 interviews recently that we were very excited about with John Spytek, the GM of the Las Vegas Raiders, as well as Ronnie McGill, who's a 3-time Super Bowl winning scout for the New England Patriots. Those are both great. We just re-released our interview with Trey Hendrickson, who was somebody who has obviously been a little bit of a hot name this offseason with all the drama going on with him and what's going to be going on with his contract. We had the opportunity in December to be able to get to know him on a personal level. Very highly recommend going back, listening to that interview. Go on YouTube, go to our playlists. You'll see everybody that we've had. We're going to be getting a lot more guys. We're really excited about all the content. The season's going to be here before you know it, which is why it is important that you are subscribed, drop a comment, leave a review, all that stuff. We both take a look at them. We want to have all the feedback that we can to try to figure out more guests that we can bring on and make sure we are bringing you the analysis that is the top notch that we are trying to strive for. All right, guys. Thank you for watching along with me today. Like I said, Ari will be back tomorrow, and we will see you tomorrow for more NFL Spotlight.